pick ban, though we haven't been told that we have pick ban, but I know we're on a delay.
Yep.
And we do have pick ban. You know, producers are awesome. And looking at these drafts, one thing that jumps out to me right away is OMG going back to their usual style. We have the Sylas coming out, we have the Kaisa in the bottom lane, this full-on dive style that OMG have been known for. But Victory 5 coming out with a really nice response, picking the Braum, the Ezreal, the Karma, champions that are so good against all-in compositions. You're gonna have shielding, you're gonna have disengage. And V5, I think, having a pretty decent draft if they can get through the early game.
A lot of speed coming through as well. I used to love seeing Karma mid because get those 2 support items first. Give your team a lot of movement speed. When you have a Xin Zhao or Renekton, you can match dive with dive lyric. That's exciting. V5 versus OMG going into game number 2 to see if V5 can finally pick up another game win. We've been waiting for a long time here. V5 is 0-11, 1-22 in game score. The last time they picked up an individual game was in week 3 against JDG. And here against OMG, you know, they want to create a little bit of a ruckus, considering that OMG are vying for playoffs, which is so heated right now in week number 8. Or week 7, sorry. We're almost into week 8.
Yep, almost there, and OMG definitely having tough competition, as we showed earlier in the graphic, competing with teams like Suning, BLG, JDG, very strong teams right now who I would say, especially teams like Suning, who are on the upswing. But looking at this game specifically, Aki with a little bit of a change-up running the Predator this time around. In game 1, he did take the press the attack. Press the attack, a lot more about some of these early skirmishes coming out, the 2v2s, the 1v1s in duels as well. So where this rune being a lot more of a ganking rune, so wanting to set his lanes up even better and even earlier on. But like I said, I feel like V5 are in a decently good position. Very defensive bot lane. I don't feel like you're going to find any avenues as Aki to really be able to impact that lane. Uniboy as well should just be fine on the Karma. So once again for OMG, it feels like their only point of attack is looking up towards this top side. To where for V5, I feel like their game plan is easier. It's more simple. It's pretty much deny the early aggression coming out from OMG. If you can get down some vision in the river, if you can stop some of these ganks or go for counter ganks against Aki, going into the mid game, if the game is even, or even if you're slightly behind, in my opinion, Victory 5 are ahead.
And it feels like, you know, you look at the early laning phase, we see Renekton versus Sett. New hits level 2, but Aliez should be fine. Even V5's bottom lane here doing quite well in the early CS. So it really does feel like you're telling me we've got to look at Aki to see where that early Predator gank comes through. You mentioned top lane being a big focus, but right now, New shoving in the wave. And it is Aki who's pathing slowly towards his bottom lane camps.
Yeah, and you know, typically, right, when you see the Predator come out, you want to see an early recall coming out for boots before any type of gank or play comes out. Does look like bot is in a neutral place if they do want to look for a gank. I still think it will be quite hard, just, you know, with the capabilities coming out from Braum Ezreal, where you can tag Volibear with the passive, Ezreal can then just E away, and everything is just fine for you. And it does look like for OMG, right, New is the one getting pressure. We know Sett level 1 is incredibly strong, and that is where he starts pushing his advantages against Renekton. But I need to stop talking about top because we got a skirmish.
I mean, Cold's only level 2. He's going to get knocked up, flashes away, but burnt down. Uniboy hits him with an inner flame. Now PZX forces out yet another flash, burns his own. Onto Aki, this Xin Zhao getting shielded up. A flash again. V5 pedal to the metal like we're watching Top Gun Part 2.
And I wonder what OMG were thinking with that play. In my mind, maybe they thought that they were going to cheese PZX in the jungle, because you look at mid lane, Uniboy has push. You look at bot, Kepler and ZYF were pushing in Abel and Cold to turret. So Cold actually made his way around and maybe hoping they can catch him out 2v1 in River, but instantly gets caught out. And you hit on it last game. Victory 5 have done a pretty decent job at pulling out some early games. The thing is, can they transition it into a mid-game win, into a late-game win, pick up a Baron, and actually be able to take the game? That's something we haven't seen all that much of, actually only once.
Might make it easier if Uniboy with a little sidestep here. If this continues, right, again, highlighting your point that if this early game is mitigated against OMG's aggression, then for V5, the scaling, the way they proceed in this game, with a Karma, Ezreal, Braum, the tools that they have, looks a lot easier. So I like that the draft helps set up their strongest part and then mitigate some of their weaknesses that we've seen.
And it also just goes to the point that we talked about OMG, right? Why OMG have been struggling so much recently is that these sort of compositions in my mind are just so easy to counter right now with what champions are in the meta. I really love the Braum pick coming out. Karma's not something we've seen all that much of recently, but with the fact that I'd say Xin Zhao is pretty much the S-tier jungler on this patch from what we've seen from all the other nerfs coming out. Once you get him linking up with the Karma, it definitely feels like a warranted strategy. And for V5, you didn't even need to do anything for that play, right? OMG just handed that to you. So now we're going to be looking at what OMG looks for once again, because OMG are the team who are in position where they need to be making these aggressive plays. Aki is pathing down towards the bottom side of the map right now, despite the fact that I really feel like maybe your top side is where you should be looking to make these aggressive plays.
Yep.
So... Oh, he actually turns around. Isn't going to go for his bot side camps and is going to look for aggression on the top half of the map.
But PZX is also there, and he has a level advantage. I like that PZX just has to simply mirror and make sure this Volibear doesn't get his nose into bad business. But Uniboy right against the wall, he's walked into a trap. Creme gets him, and Aki picks up the kill. Bit of a mistake there from V5's mid laner.
Yeah, and I didn't see if that ward was already there or if that's just something Aki placed down, because I'm not quite sure how Uniboy ended up in that position. We were panned over towards the bottom half of the map, but still going to be a nice pickup for the side of OMG. Going to relieve pressure coming out from Creme. He is going to get pushed in this matchup nonstop. The fact that Uniboy also has Oblivion Orb as well really takes away a lot of the early game all-in power coming from Creme, especially with that healing he's able to offer. So for OMG, they're able to find something. Dragon is up, and they are on a point where their bottom wave are going to push the wave in. So looking towards something like a Dragon could always be an option for Aki, especially when his mid laner has a TP right now.
Okay, well, TP is going to be used to the top lane because Uniboy's already used his. I love this. The TP for the plates, it's a double plate play for V5. And they walk away with a bit of a goal lead. It's 1,500, just about there at 6 minutes in the game. And Uniboy picking up some of that means, well, he gets closer towards his first item.
And Uniboy's build is extremely cheap, right? Whenever we see the mid Karma, I feel like that is one of the big benefits of this champion is the fact that you do just build pure supportive. You hit your power spikes very quickly and very early on in the game, which is why you always see it paired with something like a Xin Zhao, so you can start impacting the map on his pressure points. With the fact that it's 7 minutes, I feel like the next thing we're going to be looking at is the Rift Herald. V5 are the team with the pushing bot lane, so for Victory 5, it feels like they should be the team who can get tempo to move to that objective first. They have the Karma with push in mid, so it is always something that's an option. Looks like PZX might make a quick pit stop around the bottom side. We'll have time to look for both objectives if they so choose.
True, but he has to be quick, right? I mean, the level 6 Xin Zhao already has a lead in the jungle. The CS gap is mighty. Even with the Scuttle Crab, 16 in the lead. We'll be able to go past mid, already spotted out by the ward. And you talked about the Rift Herald play. We know in the LPL, it's always those bottom lanes moving up nice and early. Support's backing for now, but it is V5 who commit to the back, and OMG stopping to stay in the lane because the wave was pushed up.
Yeah, I mean, Victory 5 are always going to be the team that made the play, right? They're the team that has pressure, and 2 out of the 3 lanes right now, Aliez is able to look for heavy trades to try to fight for prio, but at that point didn't need to. New went for the reset. So for Victory 5, they're going to make their way up towards the Herald first. I do still favor Victory 5 in skirmishes. I was going to say at this point in the game, but it really feels like all game long, unless Creme is able to find some sort of massive impact, come off on a flank and take Kepler out early on.
Let's see what ulti he steals here as well. For ZYF, the Glacial Fisher would be massive. Creme now spotted out, though. And moving away from the Rift Herald for V5, this gets a bit sketchy, but it is secured by Aki. Yes, he is Stormbringer on the way out. News soloed out while the rest of V5 are poking them down. Skirmish Lyric, this is more than that. This is just lambs to the slaughter for OMG.
And like you said, it felt really bad that Aki was forced out so early trying to get that Rift Herald himself, and then it left New in an awkward situation. Creme not able to get into the backline as well, didn't have any mana for the skirmish. And for OMG, that's how your comp needs to interact. You need to be seeing Aki going in, New comboing that showstopper and setting up for Creme and able to find their angles to where then it's like, hey, you get in so fast, you can burst someone like Kepler or PZX out immediately, and then you're on the front foot able to take the fight. But not only do V5 get the fight, they get the Rift Herald, they're going to get some plates on their top laner, and we're going to see how it all started with Victory 5 having good position on the objective. Aki walks in to try to look for, a contest. Forced out immediately, the Braum shield and even Braum ultimate doing a decent amount despite the fact that it's not thrown into the rest of OMG, really only zoning out one member in New. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter. The members of OMG weren't able to find a way past PZX and ZYF.
And we come back and we look at what OMG were able to pick up after the play, right? Resets come through. You often talk about who's first out on the map. OMG pick up the Dragon, but it's at 9 minutes in the game. And when you already set up how this game's looking, how it's going, for OMG, a Dragon's not going to make a difference. And the fact that it's so late is quite impactful as well. 10 minutes into the game here, and we're even getting first items for V5. Lyric, I don't want to jinx it, man. I don't want to say anything. This is looking real good for V5. Getting my hopes up for their second ever game win, because with a 2K gold lead, with PZX being 2-0, this early game is a strong one for V5 to build off of the momentum.
I completely agree. I think V5 have all the tools necessary. The one silver lining I'll give over to OMG is that if V5's comp does fall behind, it can be quite hard to get back in until I'd say much later in the game, because mid lane Karma, when you're behind, doesn't really offer much, right? Because you do build full supportive. Just enchanters in general, when they fall behind, your job is to emphasize other stronger members on your team. But if everyone on your team is behind the enemy counterpart, you're just not a champion. You're just not offering anything to the game.
True.
So for OMG, if they can find a window back in, especially if they can go towards that top side that I was talking about, they have New up there with consistent pressure. He should get deep wards down in the enemy jungle, which is what it looks like he's doing now. And then maybe try to roam him down towards mid, look for a pick onto Uniboy, or look to catch PZX while he's out in the topside jungle, as Cold, once again, just solo making his way into River when his jungler's on the opposite side of the map.
It was how the first kill came about. It was Cold caught out, clearing away vision at level 2. Now PZX, as he shows himself, opportunity to drop the Herald with plate still available. Share it with the Karma. Maybe not the Braum, but at the very least, start opening up the map for V5 to play around with.
And I mean, just the gold's going to be nice, right? They're not going to be able to take the turret off this one, but for Victory 5 now, I feel like you just really heavily prioritize the next Rift Herald. You don't really care too much about giving OMG another Dragon. And then you use second Rift Herald to be able to open up mid-turret. It's going to open up both quadrants of the jungle. Looks like even Aliez is in a prime position to be able to take this turret decently soon. And then we're going to have a dynamic where Victory 5 are going to be ping-ponging a member between lanes on the map, right? Probably going to be Aliez pushing out top, making his way towards mid. You break down mid. You could also have Uniboy and PZX doing the same. Now, can OMG answer it with a pickup at top side with Cold here?
They need something badly here for OMG. Get rid of the gold gap. Azaki spotted out deep in the enemy jungle. Has Stormbringer and Flash available. Exhaust comes down, and Aliez in the prime position. The Glacier Fisher to slow down. The Flash burnt out. Everything defensive. And a teleport from Creme. And it said jungler once again dragging the chain.
And for V5, I feel like they were able to infer where OMG was just off of their vision on the bottom half of the map, right? You have bot side River completely warded. Kepler and Abel are showing on wave. If Cold's not there, you know he's still either up around mid or top side. With the fact that Creme backed as well, as Creme is going to look for the all-in.
Can he get the solo kill? Uniboy has the shield available as well. And Mantra coming back up and available in a second too. So Karma survives. Creme's just trying this game to bring something back, but only has the lost chapter, so not enough damage at this point to really blast open the Karma.
And you know, for Creme, I mean, Sylas is his most played champion. It's, I'd say, one of two champions we think of him for, but for OMG, it hasn't been successful. Only a 37% win rate right now in 8 games, so OMG not able to find success with it. I think it shows why a lot of teams are able to give it up, and the fact that there are a lot of answers into Sylas. I know people like Knight might make it look like there's no answers into Sylas, but yeah, a lot of times we don't typically see a lot of blind pick Sylases come out for reasons. So Uniboy definitely bringing out the Karma this time, and as you highlighted, with the fact that he's still the shield available, no real significant trade able to come out to where he's going to secure himself cryo, as Abel does dodge the Q, so nice sidestep from him. Could have forced out a cleanse potentially had that hit, and Kepler all into him as well.
But while we have a bit of a lull, and before Dragon comes up, I just want to point out that Putrefier here again, gonna reduce a lot of the healing onto OMG. But we have the Bandle Glass Mirror, and we almost have the second item for the Karma. And importantly as well, V5 still have pretty strong items to play with as we set up around this objective. And look, again, just found themselves able. He had to use the Killer Instinct, part of the dive tool you set up for OMG.
I mean, the best part for OMG though is the fact that they have a composition that's win condition is just don't let the enemy do something, right? Because we think of how many proactive plays V5's had so far, and it hasn't been too many. They have gone for plays like this, right, where they're trying to find something, but nothing too successful coming off. They've done a nice job of using tempo to, I'd say, control space on the map and turn that into control, like what they're doing right here with taking down this mid turret. But still, a lot of their initial gold lead coming from the fact that they were shutting down OMG, that members like Cold were making mistakes. I feel like this kind of hands-off and simplistic approach is what a team like V5 who hasn't picked up a win needs.
Yeah, they definitely did, right? But we're looking at objectives here. Lyric, run me through super quick because PZX on Dragon. Herald, you said number 2, would open up the map for V5.
Yeah, for V5, it's not as important now that they were just able to get the mid-turret just through rotating lanes that had pressure, right? I felt like your Herald would have been for something like that, but for V5, I'm actually kind of surprised they end up giving it up in the end because they had members posturing for a contest while PZX was picking up Dragon. I thought maybe, hey, if you're able to do it fast enough, if you are able to scare OMG like they did, they could have even just bought time to try to bring Kepler and PZX over. But I think with the fact that Abel recalled so early, it signaled, hey, just go for the trade on the opposite side of the map. Looks like bot lane turret is pretty low as well, and Kepler should be able to get that one solo. So for V5, understandable gold trade, not going to go for the most reward, but also the highest risk play for, you know, something that just keeps their gold lead going.
As Kepler gets the turret as well. A couple camps stolen away, but swapped here for OMG. Haki set up for the dive, but I like that ZYF is grouping up, but Kepler has no mana. Everfrost locked down, and you take the True Shot Barrage. Where's he going to go? Kepler stuck around after the turret, and Creme with a nice punish.
Yep, Creme misses the abduct from his E, but it doesn't matter at all. No. Still able to get that kill. Kepler even burning Flash was a little bit surprising to me in the end. And for OMG, you are 4K behind, so it doesn't feel like that does too much in the grand scheme of things. But any kill you could get onto who is your prime member in Creme, and I'd say the most impactful champion in your composition, is definitely going to go a long way if you can find cheeky little picks like this. And you know, try to minimize that gold lead, get back into the game, and then get to that point where we talked about where maybe Karma's not having the biggest impact. But for V5, I mean, it feels like you're still just easily getting to a point where you're going to be stronger, where your Ezreal is going to be someone that is almost impossible to lock down unless OMG find an amazing flank, or OMG are able to get on an objective first and get the vision set up.
So it has been quite a game. 5 kills, 17 minutes in. Like, the early game went the way it did, and for OMG, they thought, oh, well, we can't give anything else away. V5 knew what this game meant going at this pace. And it feels like we will just be having chats around the objectives. 3 minutes till Dragon, Baron's up in 240 as well, that can be played around. Until then, punishing mistakes or just farming, Lyric. You and I are just going to have to deal with this and understand that we're going to wait. We're going to wait quite a bit while as we saw this. This was punishing a mistake.
Yeah, Kepler overstaying after taking the turn. He just wanted to push in that wave, right? Try to secure the bounce back for whoever was going to end up on the bottom side of the map. It opens up for Creme to move his way down. And yeah, farming and punishing mistakes. Did you ever play any like farm simulators, any like Farmville back in the day or anything along those lines?
I wasn't a Farmville guy, but I did get Barnyard Simulator, I think, recently. That's an ulti for ulti. Aliez going into Dominus, and Creme lower mana, but won't fully compete into the play. No, I definitely got Barnyard Simulator recently, which meant I could
would
start
ask
collecting
you to
stuff,
explain, but PZX is going.
I'm not sure about this one, though, Lyric, because Cold's nearby. It's a flash, but a miss. Audacious charge for the Crescent Guard, but Creme uses his first as Abel. Jumps in for the dive, immediately flashes away. Already messy at V5 are like, we'll take it. Abel kind of griefed that one, Lyric. Kind of griefed it pretty hard.
Yeah, but we're going to see, actually, OMG are making a play on the opposite side of the map.
All right, they get
it.
And
Uniboy's gone.
That's what matters. They get the Herald down. Turret goes as well. Uniboy drops the Karma not with the team. And V5 going to make the trade in turrets going straight to the inner. But the Herald's going to get another charge up on this top side. So for OMG, the team down, trade is good.
That's the thing, right? OMG will be able to at least guarantee the turret trade. Them even picking up 2 as compared to 1, right? Because V5 got that outer bot side turret earlier on when we did see Kepler get picked off. So, bit of a win for OMG. Still 4K gold down, but not only the Karma, I feel like another point we did hit on is the Renekton, right? Not going to be as useful later on in the game than his counterpart on the Sett. So, definitely some angles for OMG, but I'm still just not in love with the Kaisa pick. I feel like that's something we haven't hit on too much, but...
Yep.
Kaisa just feels like in a spot where I'd say almost everything in the game feels extremely hard to play into, because you're either playing against things that outrange you, as I need to pause because we're going to get a bit of the replay first. And no, Hysterics, you mentioned it, the killer instinct he threw it all away.
You just said it yourself. Playing Kaisa into, what, a Xin Zhao? Even a Karma, right?
Everything.
Everything of this team. It's like, you want to run into this team? You're dead in an instant. That's what happened there. Immediately Abel regretting the decision, taking his first death of the game. And you give over more gold to the team that's already in a comfortable position at 20 minutes in the game, that now with Dragon up Lyric, have themselves the setup.
Yeah, 4v5, and this is where the comp thrives, right? Able to throw
again.
this poke, but
Not
looking for the
cold
engage.
again. It's always cold, isn't it? He gets knocked up. Concussive blows. Golden. What is he buying time for? Hoping that something happens here, but for V5, the Crescent Guard's already out. New ulti, fantastic, but OMG need a little bit more. The Kaisa picks up a kill, but Kepler is free hitting in the back line, while Abel is not doing enough in comparison. Aki as well, getting Arcane shifted on. Slowed down. Kepler is absolutely blasting them, while V5, Lyric, this is looking good.
Yeah, V5 maybe going to pick up their second game win, making their way over to Baron after that skirmish. That's going to open up the map. That's going to open up opportunities that we haven't seen V5 able to find in past series.
Well, Lyric, if they weren't already out of playoffs, I'd start hinting at Worlds for V5, because this is exciting stuff. Game number 2.
Hysterics.
The second ever
Why
game
does it
win
always happen?
on the cards. Oh, OMG, not feeling too good as TP comes through just to secure. Cold is the only one nearby now. I'm pretty sure in the LCK, we literally saw an Alistar steal Baron. Not going to expect that from Cold this game.
No, like you said, Cold just continuously getting caught out. This is what I was talking about V5's comp. This is where they thrive, being able to throw that poke, people walking into fog of war, and they look for the engage. Sure, New does find this massive showstopper, but like you said, Abel never able to find his way under priority targets. As Kaisa, you want to be a force assassin in the backline, but when you're going to play Ezreal versus Kaisa, just free hitting on frontline, Kepler going to win out every time, especially when you have Uniboy providing those shields to his frontliners as well. It just made it an easy cleanup for the side of Victory 5, but I feel like it happens every split. Hysterics, the fans out there who are watching this that chose to tune in to watch this classic Lyric barn burner of OMG V5 know, every split when a team is eliminated from playoffs, they somehow start picking up some wins. I'm not saying V5 will win the series or V5 will win any series, but V5 are going to start picking up more game wins. It always happens in LPL.
They can disrupt so much as well. Like, you know what fans know more than that? They know that OMG is a constant disappointment. Now, that's harsh. But if you're an LPL fan,
that was harsh.
You know that even though OMG have looked so much better this split, you're still so rigid because you know that there's just something in the air that makes you doubt OMG hitting playoffs for the first time in 4 years. So for V5, they had a chance to really disrupt that, especially in game 2, as Aliez going to be turned on here, but Dominus buys a bit of time. He gets the healing from Gore Drinker as well. New won't be able to blast him, but Kepler will if he starts joining in. He's already on top of Arky, who's about to get knocked up with an audacious charge, and Kepler brings out the magic wand once again. Creme on his last legs. Cold dead once more for a 0-3 Leona, and OMG under the turret. That won't save them. New with a great face breaker, able to clean up. The Sett doing the most in this comp, but look at this magic man. Kepler survives as well, and V5, Lyric, they're doing it.
Yeah, V5 gonna pick up their second game win. They are eliminated from playoffs, but small moments like this is what you want to see from a developmental roster.
You know, mental gaming in game number 2. That's what we'll put it down to. It might not be the Nexus right now, but Victory 5.
10K almost.
It's so close.
Hysterics, I mean, might not be the win right now. Almost a 10K gold lead for Victory 5. I feel like this just has to be it. It has to be it. they've never been primed for a better scenario. Like you highlighted from that last play, New has been the member to find opportunities, but sadly for OMG, it isn't able to amount to much. We are going to see them initially look for this pick on Aliez. They diverted numbers here, leaving open mid lane, but still very easy for Victory 5 to quickly answer. You highlighted the Gore Drinker coming out, popping the ultimate. He just has so much sustain, and then V5 using that play to catch Aki out in transit. Then here, it doesn't matter that Victory 5 are just taking turret the whole time. They still just have so much durability in the squad. Cold once again going down. And we're going to keep our eyes on Cold here. One massive face breaker into an amazing haymaker to set up, able to come in and get those kills. But at the end of the day, right, it's that durability that we talked about. It's the fact that Kepler is dealing more damage now. You look at him, Divine Sunderers, Ferelda's Grudge, and the Mirror Mana coming out. So the strongest point in the game for an Ezreal by far.
It's going to feel so good against the Sett, Leona, Volibear. As we're already seeing, Kepler's damage is immense at the 517 mark, and his CS as well, hitting 10 CS a minute, even more so in this game. As V5 not looking at OMG very seriously in game number 2, it's Creme who's caught out on top of a Glacial Fissure. And that's one biting the dust. Creme has to burn the flash, go back to base, but the waves are crashing in, and they're crashing in fast.
Yeah, and I mean, especially when you look up towards that top side, right, you have super minions flooding in. Abel gonna have to answer, gonna set up 4v5 to be able to take this turret for free. Or OMG, I think if they look for the engage, they just lose.
It's onto New, into the back line. There's the setup, but Ezreal is poking away. A face breaker on the AD carry. He flashes away. Abel into the back line, but it's a trap. V5 have taken an AD down, and now they're looking very seriously at Aki. Kepler still full HP. And ladies and gentlemen, put it into the chat. All your V5 memes as they're about to win their second game in 2021 summer.
And this is what you want to see from Victory 5. Again, it's the LPL special. You're eliminated from playoffs, and then you start picking up wins. Hysterics, if the cameras weren't about to come back to us, I would go put on my Victory 5 jersey.
I know you would.
It feels like the only time that's warranted for me to put on my Victory 5 jersey.
I know. You can do it, Lyric. That's all right. I don't care. You know, the audience will be happy to see you with your shirt off anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, what a blast Lyric is, by the way. But game 1, game 2, now we go to a game 3 because V5 for the second time ever, bit of a shame, Lyric, I will say, have taken us to a game 3. A 2-22 team, or sorry, 2-23 now. V5 are definitely the best team in the LPL, hands down.
You know, it's fine, right? Because, again, sadly, IG Top Esports had to be delayed because of Typhoon Shock High. Safety, super important. I love that V5 comes out and says, okay, you know what? Top Esports and IG can't play. We are going to deliver you a show.
Yeah.
And then they came into this. That's exactly what they did.
That's what we wanted. At least we get the 3-game series here. Props to Kepler in that game. Had a great Ezreal game, but you and I were talking about the early game, what needed to be done. V5 delivered it on a platter. Well, I mean, technically OMG delivered it with what we saw towards River. But V5 played a very successful mid-game, and it was one of the cleanest games we've seen from them as well.
Yup, and we are going to find PZX picking up the MVP. I think that's not a surprise, right? He's been the highlight player for this squad all split long in my mind. He's been the one to give them such surprisingly good early games. We even saw when he got subbed out for Jug God that their early game impact really fell off a mountain. So this man doing so much for this squad, despite the fact that V5 haven't been able to pick up a series win and not too many game wins. So shout out to you, PZX. You're doing your best to hold it down for the boys. This ain't Australia, so I'm not going to tell people to drink a shoey for him, but if it was, just throwing it out there as possible.
Well, you know me, Lyric, I'm all class. I want to point out someone on Twitter has just DM'd me something that needs to be said, which is Victory 5 puts the game in another level, and we'll be blessed if we ever see a team with their skill and passion for the game again. RNG breaks records, FPX breaks records, Victory 5 breaks the rules. You can keep your statistics. I